Hello and welcome. Today we are going to go ahead and take a look at the Deimos Expedition. So the Expedition is the next in my series of Leviathan class ships. And my Leviathans are basically freighters that I got rid of the Starship Design limitation for. So these are going to be your late game outpost ships slash combat ships. Um, so they should be able to perform in combat, but the primary goal is to do heavy outpost work and move lots and lots of goods. Now, this particular one is a Deimos ship through and through, and that means that rather than worrying about minor things like, lack of, an armory and so on, uh, this ship is designed for you to go ahead and haul all your goods, as well as a couple heavy support weapon teams, just in case. So this ship does have a 25 beds available on it, as well as nearly 18,000 cargo before skills. So if you need anything beyond this, well, I hope you don't like mobility. So let's go ahead, pop on over to the Deimos Star Yard, which is the only place that you will need to visit to pick up everything that you need for this ship. We will take a tour of the inside, and then I will show you how it's built and show you how well it holds up in combat should you decide to, say, place your outposts out on Serpentis. Now, of course, the first thing is we start out in our cockpit here. And as always, I am a sucker for these Ares bridges. It's just such a nice, lovely, enormous bridge. And the fact that it gives you 8 crew capacity is not to be underestimated either. You can see, kind of, maybe, a little bit of the clipping in from some top components here. But honestly, if I wasn't pointing it out, I can't even be sure that that's actually clipping. That is the only interior clipping that you will find here. Then we are going to come on over here, and we are going to enter into a one-by-one companionway. Very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up this ladder. I said up the ladder. Oh, come on. Fine, I will climb the ladder all the way to the top, because I suck apparently. So, right up here on the very top floor of this ship, we find ourselves in the captain's... Don't fall yet. Anyways, the captain's quarters. His own private bathroom, navigation console, his bed of supreme comfort, and some relaxation areas. Then we are going to carefully follow a single level, open this door, and we find ourselves in the 2x2 living quarters. So this area is, there is no beds or anything like that. It's basically just a crew relaxation area. Or a passenger relaxation area. Coming back here, we find ourselves in the first of several 2x1 all-in-ones. The second is right up here. And then the third is through this door. So far that is putting us 12 beds on this wing, 13 when we include the captains. Coming on over here, we find ourselves in the Deimos 2x2 engineering bay. This could be literally any other 2x2 head that you wanted, but Engineering Bay hadn't used it in a bit. So, However, off the engineering bay, you will find another 1, 2, and 3 all-in-one quarters. So that is another 12 beds, bringing us up to our total of 25. Next, we will come back to our central ladder, and we will go down 1 level. Here we find ourselves in the Deimos Armory. Right over here, here is our landing bay access. So this is going to be the primary entry and exit point for the ship while you're landed. If anybody is injured, directly off the armory, we have our infirmary, complete with a research lab and pharmaceutical lab. Off the rear of the armory, we find ourselves in the Deimos 2x3 cargo hold, or not cargo hold, mess hall. Words, they mean things. And you can see we've got bench seating for 16 and then more private dining for another 4, which if you have this ship fully loaded with passengers, that means that 5 of the crew cannot be eating at the same time as the rest of them. All right, then we come back to our central ladder and we're going to go down 1 more level. Here we find ourselves in another 1x1 companionway, and this is going to be where our docking bridge access is. Coming on over on each side of the ship, we have a 3x2 cargo hold. And then when we come back over here, on this side we find ourselves in our workshop. So you still do have access to everything that you need should you be playing around with outposts. Over here on the other side of the ship, we have another 2x3 cargo hold. And then off this one, I just tucked in another little computer core, because why not? There's literally any 2x1 hab that you would like there. And that is the interior tour. So let's wander on over here to Nikolai and see how the ship is built.
Deimos engineers demand perfection, of course.
Alright, so just taking a quick look at the stats, you can see I do still have the 28 light years jump range. However, I am sitting at 18,000 cargo before skills. However, the consequence of this is I do only have 23 mobility. So that is going to be the downside if you decide that you want to build a big hulker like this, is that mobility score goes through the floor. Alright. The final note that I'm going to make about this ship is it is very near the parts cap. It should be under the 130 parts, but not by much. So if you need to go ahead and flip glitch or duplication glitch things into place for this ship, then make sure you do that early. Taking a look here, you will notice I am duplication glitching this landing gear in with the Deimos hulls. And then I also flip glitched in this Deimos cowling into the top of the Ares bridge. And that's basically it. So, if you don't like flip glitching, it would be very easy, or duplication glitching, it would be very easy to build the ship without those. Anyways, let's go ahead, grab our colors. You can see I did kind of blackish gray, basically the same color, and basically the same color. There we go. Deimos is easy. Now, let's go ahead and build the ship. So we are, of course, going to go ahead and start with the landing bay. Now, directly up from this landing bay, we are going to go ahead and grab our armory. And then we are going to go ahead and grab our infirmary. And then we are going to go ahead and grab our 2x3 mess hall. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to grab a companionway. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the 3x2 cargo hall. Place one on each side of that companionway. Then pick your favorite side. And let's toss in our workshop. Pick your other side. And that's where I tossed in the computer core. Then up here, we are going to go ahead and grab ourselves another companionway. And then we are going to grab ourselves the 2x2. And this side was that living quarters, while this side was that engineering bay. Now you will note that there's a little bit of overlap here. Because we do have the companionway here, it should mean that there's not going to be putting ladders here. But if it decides to be obnoxious, which, it might, then we might need to fiddle with some of this stuff here to go ahead and pull this forward. But now we want to go ahead and grab our 6 all-in-one berths. And then we're going to grab one more. And we are going to turn this into our captain's quarters. And that right there is the layout of the ship. So let's come on over here and grab our cockpits, which is going to be whatever the best Ares bridge we have available is. And then down here, we will go ahead and grab that slim docker. All right, that is all the habitable portions of this ship. So let's go ahead and start adding cargo. Now, looking down through the list, you can see that the only cargo I'm using is the Galleon S204s. And just setting them all out to the side here, you can see we are using a grand total of 12 of these. So, where exactly are you hiding them? That's kind of up to you. However, what I did is basically tuck some in over here. Just like so. And then I have another 4 that I can go ahead and place wherever I would like. And I just tucked those in under here. Alrighty. So that is our cargo. Now let's go ahead and look at our fuel situation. So for this ship, I am using the 900T HE3 tank that is located right here. But I am also using 2 H30 Atlas HE3 tanks. These are tucked in right over here underneath the captain's quarters. It's kind of like this little dead zone right here. And you can just fit another 800 grav jump fuel right there. Then we can just tuck this in right here, and that hides it nice and easy. Now, do you have to go ahead and include these? No. You could go ahead and put something else there if you wanted to. But I did not quite have enough space for another 900T HE3 tank, So I just added a bit extra fuel because I was looking to have around at least 1,000 or so. All right, so we have our fuel tank. Let's go ahead and grab our grav drive and our reactor now. So for grav drives, this ship I went with the J51 Gamma grav drive. Again, this is not the best grav drive that you can get. We could have gone with the J52. It adds a little bit of mass and adds 30,000 credits to the end build. However, we did not need the extra 5 grav jump thrust, which is why I decided to just go ahead and use the J51. And we're just going to put it on one of the sides of this fuel tank. Finally, for our reactor here, I just went with the SF40 because that is the one that provides us with 40 reactor power and is available from the Deimos Star Yards. And we just stack all that up right there. Next, engines. Alright, so for this ship, I'm using the Poseidon DT230s. Overall, this is going to be one of the best engines that you can get. The Slayton 6330s or 6880s would probably be better for these ships, but you cannot get them from the Deimos Star Yards. So this is the best ship or best engines you can get from Deimos. All right. So what are we missing now? Well, the very first thing that we are missing is going to be landing gear. So for this ship, I have 6 landing gear located directly under the mess hall like this. And then I'm going to need to go ahead and grab myself some Deimos hulls to pull out. And I'm just filling this area in with some Deimos hulls and then putting another one out here. Now, I could have gone ahead and used some more Galleon S204s for these. However, that's 312 mass instead of 5 mass. Or I could have rearranged how my S204s are to go ahead and fill that out. But I'm just using these Deimos hulls to kind of fill in space. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the landing gear and duplicate it out here. And you can see that is all the landing gear that I needed. However, for these front landing gears, I decided to go ahead and duplicate the Deimos hulls over it. And this is done mostly just to go ahead and kind of fill in space and make it look slightly better in my opinion. Alright. So we only have some warnings now. So let's go ahead and grab our shield. And then we're going to start playing with structural elements. So we are a Class C ship, so I'm just going to toss that SG-1800 shield generator somewhere up here and then stop caring. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start adding in structural pieces. So I'm going to put some Deimos braking engines on right there. And then I'm going to grab some Deimos cowlings here. And on the underside, Skeg A's. And that kind of finishes the front of the ship. Alright, next, let's see here. I'm going to come on in here and add this Deimos cowling. Let me just see how many more Deimos cowlings I need. Alright, and that's going to be it. So wherever it makes sense to have another pair of Deimos cowlings, I will. Up here, let me go ahead and grab some more Deimos hulls and back that up with some braking engines. And that feels about right. And then in here, let me go ahead and find my Deimos wings. Copy the wings on over to this side. And then back here. Let's do it like this. Alright. Go ahead and place some bellies down here. And then Deimos bumpers. On down the sides. Alrighty. From here, let's go ahead and start adding our weapons. So right under here, I have the PBO 175s. Nice and well hidden. But they don't fit there, so let's go ahead and place them right there. And then I'm using 4 of the PBO 300s. And there you have it. You can go ahead and adjust weapons around however you would like. Use whatever weapons you would like, but that is more or less what I ended up with. From here, we will put on our shades of gray. And there we have it. We do have one warning. It's basically just saying that our mobility is low. But that is to be expected when we are carrying this much cargo. Alright, so enough building the ship. Let's go ahead, take it out for a test drive.
When you get serious about your spacecraft, come back to Deimos.
I wish Deimos was exclusively a military
Alright. And now, let us go find Serpentis. It is, of course, important to remember that these are hauling ships first and foremost, not combat ships. So you probably should not be bringing this out to Serpentis to party. But in case you end up with some trouble, there we go. Against three reasonably effective ships, it held its own. But as you can also see, it does not maneuver very well. I know, what a shocker. But let's pop on over here. Looks like I have 3 targets. Alright. Alright. So, in addition to maneuvering rather poorly, it does not go ahead and accelerate very hard And being a Class C ship, of course, my top speed is a little on the lower side. All of which just basically mean that the ship is not going to handle as nicely as some of the other ships that I have shown on my channel. Alright, and looks like that settler is still hanging around. And Serpentis 2 remains a debris-strewn haven. They're looking for basically just one more engagement, just to see how the ship holds up. There we go. All right. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and leave you there. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.